This world has never been governed by kindness or decency. It operates on the ebb and flow of self-interest and the strategic shifting of risk. In the so-called tech valley or any modern marketplace, the concept of innovation is often little more than a velvet curtain concealing far colder calculations. The buffer zone scenario is not your typical business strategy. It is the art of externalizing risk at the highest level. Defined bluntly, this is a technique for spawning seemingly independent legal entities, inflated with venture capital and grand illusions, to charge into the gray areas of law and morality. Their sole mission is not sustainable success, but to survive just long enough to endure the lashings of regulatory bodies while the most vital assets, user data and intellectual property, are silently siphoned away to a safe harbor in the rear. It is akin to wearing gloves to handle poison. The glove may be corroded and discarded, but the hands of the controller remain pristine. The masses, the underdogs with their linear mindsets, often gaze upon these startups with naive admiration. They see gleaming logos, vibrant open-plan offices, and lofty slogans about changing the world. They fail to see the essence of the sacrificial pawn on the chessboard. In the eyes of the master strategist, a buffer company is born with the mission of a meat shield. When a large corporation wishes to test a behavior-manipulating algorithm or exploit a market devoid of a clear legal framework, they would never dream of letting the parent brand venture in. Instead, they indirectly inject capital into a group of young founders, enthusiastic yet green. This group will rush out to break rules, confront traditional industries, challenge banking systems, or harvest the biometric data of millions. The brutal reality is that the collapse of these buffers is often scripted from day one. Modern society celebrates the fail-fast culture as a philosophy of progress, but in truth, it provides the perfect alibi for destroying evidence. When regulators begin to close in, or when public outcry over privacy reaches a fever pitch, the buffer company takes the hit. It absorbs the fines, declares bankruptcy, or is torn apart by the media. The puppet founders shoulder the infamy, and employees lose their livelihoods. Yet, at a deeper level, the algorithms perfected by the acquired data and the business models proven viable have already been fully transferred to the parent corporation through intricate intellectual property licensing agreements or convertible loans. The naivety of the crowd is the primary fuel for this machine. Workers believe in stock options and the dream of becoming a tech unicorn, willingly clocking 16-hour days and selling their youth cheaply to build castles in the sand. Users believe in the convenience of free services, joyfully surrendering their personal data, consumption habits, and even their geographic locations to emerging apps. They do not realize that in the surveillance economy, they are not the customers. They are the or being mined. The buffer company is simply the exploratory drill. If the mine collapses or the drill snaps, the owner simply replaces the equipment, but the ore already extracted belongs to him forever. Modern law, no matter how hard it strives, always remains a step behind technology and novel business models. That time gap is the super profit zone that the buffer scenario targets. A fintech company can operate for 3 years before being labeled an underground bank. A sharing app can function for 5 years before being accused of tax evasion and labor exploitation. During that interval, the buffer has completed its historical mission, drawing the fire of competitors and the attention of lawmakers. When the fine is finally issued, it is usually just a fraction of the astronomical profits that have already been siphoned away. Furthermore, the death of the buffer even allows the parent corporation to renegotiate the rules of the game with the government from a position of detached neutrality, offering solutions built upon the very ashes they indirectly created. So how do the powerful, those with the mindset of apex hunters, utilize this scenario? First, there must be an absolute separation between the ownership of core assets and the right to operate the business. A wise player never keeps intellectual property, patents, or databases in the same basket as risky daily transactions. Core assets must be held by a legal entity located in tax havens or jurisdictions with the strictest intellectual property protections, where the reach of ordinary regulators can hardly touch. This entity has no employees, no sales activities, and no liability to consumers. It does only one thing: it leases assets. Next, the powerful establish operating companies in target markets. These are the buffer zones. These companies sign contracts to use intellectual property from the core holding company at exorbitant royalty rates. Revenue from customers flows into the buffer company but is immediately drained out to pay these royalties. As a result, the buffer company always appears to be in a state of low profit or accounting loss, minimizing tax obligations and, more importantly, becoming an empty shell if sued. If a class action lawsuit demands hundreds of millions of dollars in damages, the plaintiffs will find only a company with an empty bank account, while the real wealth sits safely on a distant island. This mindset is also applied to human resource management and talent acquisition. The powerful use the buffer as a harsh biological filter. Instead of hiring talent into the parent corporation with high benefits and the risk of stagnation, they encourage or sponsor top employees to go out and start their own ventures, creating a network of satellites. These satellites compete fiercely with one another. The losers are eliminated. The winners are acquired. The parent corporation incurs no management costs and no trial and error expenses, simply standing above to observe and seize the final survivor. This is the most ruthless form of natural selection applied to economics, letting the same species slaughter each other so the ruler only has to step out and clean up the battlefield. Furthermore, the buffer scenario is a master tool for psychological market manipulation. When seeking to monopolize a field, the powerful will create multiple buffers under different brands, even maintaining the illusion that they are rivals. This creates a facade of diversity and free competition for the consumer. Users think they have the right to choose between brand A and brand B, but in reality, both paths lead to the same pocket. When a scandal hits brand A, the crowd grows indignant and switches to brand B, completely unaware that they have yet to escape the pre-constructed cage. The crowd's indignation is vented, but the ruler's cash flow remains uninterrupted. To transform this mindset into actual power, one must cultivate a clinical coldness in valuing people and risks. One must not allow emotional attachment to one's tools. A buffer company, no matter how much passion the founding team poured into it, is merely a layer of armor. When that armor is shattered, it must be discarded without mercy to put on a new one. The powerful understand that personal reputation or subsidiary brands are renewable, but core resources and a monopolistic position are the only things that cannot be lost. In this chess game, the law is not a barrier but a cost variable to be calculated within the business model. Fines are not punishments for moral failings. They are operating costs, much like utility bills. If the profit gained from a violation far exceeds the fine, then that violation is economically rational. The buffer zone is where these ruthless calculations are executed. It allows for the total separation of legal liability and economic interest. The one held responsible has no money. The one with the money bears no responsibility. That is the operational truth of the financial and technological elite. Ultimately, to master the buffer scenario, one must become invisible. Real power does not lie in the spotlight or in inspiring speeches. Power lies in the shadows, holding the puppet strings. Let those who crave fame act as legal representatives. Let the naive be the face of the brand. As for the elite, they only hold the contracts, the data encryption keys, and the financial flows. When the storm comes, the tall trees facing the wind will break, while the roots deep underground continue to soak up nutrients. That is the true longevity of an old demon in the heart of modern society. By understanding this, you will no longer see the world through the rose-colored lens of hypocritical morality, but instead, see the naked skeleton of the interest machine operating without end.